بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن خير الكلام كلام الله وخير الهدى هدى رسول الله وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. The talk that has been assigned to me is talk that's connected to the title of the conference that they're going to have here for the rest of this day concerning the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And from the names of Allah Azza wa Jalla is that He is Ar-Rahman and He is Ar-Rahim. And there are many issues that can be tackled and addressed with this broad and expansive topic of the rahmah of Allah. Bi-idhnillah Azza wa Jalla, in the next 40 minutes, I'm going to deal with this topic from a current event. And that current event, bi-idhnillah, is the problem that we see taking place in the world today with the spread of the Ebola virus. The spread of the Ebola virus. Believe it or not, this issue is connected to the rahmah of Allah from many angles. Many angles. The viruses in Islam that human beings have to deal with, some of them have the ability to wipe out all of mankind, like cholera, like yellow fever, like tuberculosis, the SARS virus, Ebola, the bubonic plague. These plagues can wipe out all of mankind, all of them. If someone were to sneeze, then everyone in the masjid can become affected bi-idhnillah. And if every affected person went out and they connected with other people, then all of Bani Adam can be destroyed by any one of these viruses. So this is one of the proofs of the rahmah of Allah Azza wa Jalla that He mentioned in the Quran. لو يؤاخذ الله الناس بظلمهم ما ترك عليها من دابة ولكن يؤخرهم إلى أجل مسمى. If Allah were to hold all of the people accountable for their mistakes, He wouldn't leave on the face of the earth one single person. But He gives them a delay. He gives them a chance. He gives them respite until a certain day. That ayah goes to show the fact that we're here right now is from the rahmah of Allah, because if Allah Azza wa Jal were to judge everybody without any exception, then He could destroy everyone, because every single person on the face of the earth is not doing enough to be from the shakirin. So the fact that He gives people time and respite is from His rahmah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Another issue as it relates to this Ebola virus is the fact that our religion, the deen of Allah Azza wa Jalla, it is a total, complete way of life. This religion Al-Islam, it is a deen. It's a deen. It's a religion. As Allah said in the Quran, Inna ad-deena indallahi al-Islamu. The religion with Allah is Islam. The other ayah said, Lakum deenukum waliyad deen. You now Muslims, you have your religion and we have our religion. But for the Muslim, his deen, it is bigger and more important than what the non-Muslim looks at in terms of his religion. The way the Muslim understands his religion and the way that the non-Muslim understands his religion, there's a big contrast. If you take the most practicing Jew, Christian, the most practicing Sikh, Hindu, when you say to him religion, the most practicing one, what he understands is he's going to do some commandments, he's going to leave off some things, he's going to do some forms of worship, he's going to do some things that show this is his religion. He's going to celebrate here and there. That's what he understands religion to be, the best one from amongst them. But that's not the case with the Muslim. The religion to the Muslim is everything connected to his life. There's nothing about his life that's not connected to his religion. Nothing. So when he gets married, it's his religion. If he gets divorced, it's his religion. His religion is telling him what to do and what not to do. His religion tells him what to eat, how to eat it, and what not to eat. It tells him what he can wear and what he can't wear. It even tells him what colors he cannot wear, men and women. Everything about your religion. Your religion, the Deen of Islam, tells a person how to walk. Where is that in Judaism? Where is that in Sikhism? Where is that in Yahudiya? The religion of the Yahud. The Quran and the Sunnah mention people who are from the mustakbirin, the mutakabbirin. كان الرجل في الذين سبقوكم يتبختر في مشيته. There was a man from those who went before us. He used to walk on the earth in an arrogant way, in a way that showed he thought he was somebody. So Allah Azza wa Jal caused the earth to open up and it swallowed him alive. So the Muslim has to work in a particular way. The Muslim woman, she can't walk in a seductive manner. There are hadith that prohibit her from walking a particular way. That's her religion, telling her how to walk. As you people are sitting down right now, sitting down in the Masjid, your religion told you how to sit. This religion taught you and told you how to sit. Prophet passed by a man, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that man, he was leaning back on his left hand, on the palm of his hand, leaning back, and his hand was behind his back. The Prophet said to him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, do you sit the way the people who Allah is angry with sit? Do you sit in a way that the people who Allah is angry with sit? So the man removed his hand from the position that it was and he sat upright. So once the Muslim knows that hadith, he's not going to sit with his left hand on his, he's not going to recline on the left of his palm. He's going to make a fist if he wants to put his hand behind him. He's going to sit back on the right hand or maybe on two hands, but on that left hand he's not going to do that. And that's the thing that I'm trying to prove, that the Muslim, he sees every aspect of his life, his deen, as being his life. If someone came and told him something that he didn't know, like this issue about sitting, and he proves to him with the hadith, the Muslim's going to say, okay. That's how he look, because he knows that the religion governs his whole life, everything. How he spits. He can't spit towards the Qibla. It's everything. How he puts his shoes on. He puts the right shoe on first and the left shoe on first, second. How he combs his hair. Whereas the non-Muslims, when they look at their religion, it's a few things. I worship on Saturday, I worship on Sunday, I have this particular celebration, I do this, I do that. But if you came and you told him about everything that Islam commanded, he'll say, you know, I'm not interested in that religion of Islam because it's too many things you have to do. Too many do's and don'ts. And I want you brothers to understand that we should not overwhelm and we should not bombard new Muslims with the do's and don'ts of Islam. Don't do that. As soon as a person embraces Islam, you begin to tell him you have to get a circumcision. You begin to tell him you have to change your name. You begin to tell them you have to leave the house of your parents because there's a dog there. You can't overwhelm people like that. We have to focus upon planting the seed of Iman and understanding of Islam in his head, so that once that becomes secure in his mind, when the awamir and the nawahi come, the commands and the prohibitions, he doesn't have a problem with embracing them. So this is from the ni'mah of Allah Azza wa Jal, that the issue of Ebola has been explained to us in detail. Judaism doesn't talk about Ebola. Christianity, Sikhism, Hinduism, the deen of Allah talks about Ebola. The way you brothers are sitting right now is something that the Prophet prohibited, by the way, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, don't sit when there's space and you people go far away like that. So I want to ask you to iqtaribu, barakallah fikum, to come forward. The non-Muslim, if you were to tell him that, he's going to say, wow, this religion is too overwhelming. You have to do this, you can't do that. But many of you knew that hadith. So when you know that the Prophet said it, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you just do it. And that's the point that I'm trying to make. So it's from the ni'mah of Allah, as he mentioned in many ayat of the Quran, that this religion has explained everything we need to know. The fact that Allah explained everything that we need to know is a rahmah. He said in the Quran, وَمَا فَرَّطْنَا فِي الْكِتَابِ مِنْ شَيْءٍ. We didn't leave anything out of this book. وَنَزَّلْنَا عَلَيْكَ الْكِتَابِ تِبْيَانًا لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ. We revealed this book and it explains everything to you. مَا كَانَ حَدِيثٍ يُفْتَرَى وَلَكِنْ تَصْدِيقَ الَّذِي بَيْنَ يَدَيْهِ وَتَفْصِيلَ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ وَهُدًى وَرَحْمَةً لِقَوْمٍ يُؤْمِنُونَ. He said this Quran is not a book that has been made up, it's concocted. But it is a book that confirms what went before it. It supports the Torah and the Injil and the Zabur and the Suhuf of Ibrahim and Musa. It supports and confirms what went before it. And it is a book that explains everything that you need to know. And it is a guidance and a rahmah for those people who are believers. Allah didn't leave us in Hira, not knowing our religion. And that is a rahmah. That a person has the ability to worship Allah Azza wa Jal and he knows what he's doing. Tremendous rahmah. So when we talk about the rahmah of Allah Azza wa Jal and we tackle and address the issue, dealing with this issue of Ebola, a few things I want to mention, showing and highlighting the rahmah of Allah as it relates to Ebola, and also bringing to your attention some issues you should know about Ebola and these other diseases. The Muslim is an individual, when he gets a text message, his religion tells him how to deal with that text message. He gets a text message, when he reads it, it has something that he doesn't know if it's true, he doesn't know if it's khurafat, he doesn't know if it's a lie, he doesn't know where it came from, he doesn't know who sent it. He's not going to send it off because he has a minhaj. He knows in his religion, in his life, he has restraints. Like the hadith of the Nabi mentioned, sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam, ad-dunya sijnul mu'min wa jannatul kafir. The dunya is a prison for the believer because he can't do any and everything. He can't eat, drink, wear, say any and everything. The kafir is a jannah for him. He can do whatever he wants to do in his mind. So the ayat is clear when Allah Ta'ala mentioned, وَجَعَلْنَا لِكُلِّ مِنْكُمْ شِرْعَةً وَمِنْهَاجًا. We made for all of the nations and communities a sharia and a minhaj. A minhaj. Minhaj means the tariq al-wadih, the clear path, what to do. You have to worship Allah based upon a minhaj. You have to, your aqidah has to be based upon proofs, minhaj. You know, recently they had Remembrance Day, and you saw people wearing the poppy flower. Even some Muslim girl in the university, she made a hijab with a print, a picture of the poppy flower. So before the Muslim young man, before he wears it, before he's for it or against it, he has a minhaj. He has to say, what did the religion say about this? He can't just wear it because other people around him doing it or because he lives in this country. Halloween was a few days ago. The Muslim is, when it comes to Halloween, he's going to say, what is it about? What's behind it? He's going to make decisions to do or not to do based upon proofs. Today, many of the people's religion is do what the people do and be like the people and don't go against the grain. And this is one of the big challenges for young people. Because nobody, for the most part, especially young people, no one wants to feel as if he's by himself. He's standing alone. So if his friends smoke, he'll smoke. If his friends goof off, he'll goof off. If his friends don't pray, he won't pray. If his friends get high and smoke, he's gonna smoke weed because his friends smoke weed. If her friends don't wear hijab, she won't wear hijab. They wear makeup, lipstick, she'll wear makeup, lipstick. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud and Hudhayf ibn al-Yaman, those two companions, radiyallahu anhuma wa ardahuma, not Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. These two companions, they said to the people in an authentic statement from them, لا تكونوا إمعة تقولون إن أحسن الناس أحسننا وإذا أساءوا أسأنا ولكن وطنوا أنفسكم. Don't be a copycat. Don't be a copycat. Don't be the person who says, if the people do right, the people do good, I'll do good. If the people do wrong, I'll do wrong with the people. He said, but what you should do, وَطِّنُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. Pay attention and do the right thing. If people do bad, if the people do good, you do good. If they do bad, you don't do bad. So concerning this particular issue, the text message, having a mobile phone, our religion teaches us everything we need to know. Everything. So with this issue of Ebola, our religion told us where it came from. Where it came from. The Prophet said in an authentic hadith, sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam, inna hadha al-waba rijzun ahlakallahu bihi ba'd al-umam yaji'u ahyanan wa yadhhabu ahyanan. He said that these plagues and these big diseases, it is a punishment that Allah created, and He used it to destroy people who came before you. So these plagues, they come and they go. They reappear and they go. They come and they go. They come and they go. So the Muslim understands from that hadith that people of the past were destroyed by plagues. The plague will be here for a minute and then it'll disappear. And then it'll come back again in one shape, form, or fashion. And then it'll go again. So that when it comes, people pay attention. They make tawbah. They'll believe in Allah. They'll stop doing bad things. The plague has been mentioned in the Quran. Like Ebola has been mentioned in the Quran. Who are those people that Allah punished with the plague? He punished Bani Israel and other than Bani Israel. So you should know Ebola and these types of plagues were created a long time ago. Why? Because Allah punished people with them. They don't stay here forever. They go and they appear. They go and they reappear. They go and they appear. In the Quran in Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah told us what happened to Bani Israel, a group of them. أَلَمْ تَرَ إِلَى الَّذِينَ خَرَجُوا مِنْ دِيَارِهِمْ وَهُمْ أُلُوفٌ حَذَرَ الْمَوْتِ فَقَالَ لَهُمُ اللَّهُ مُوتُوا ثُمَّ أَحْيَاهُمْ. Did you not see those people who left their homes, they escaped from their homes, and they were trying to run away from death? And Allah said to them, die. They were leaving in the thousands. There were a lot of people trying to escape where they came from, trying to run away from death. Allah said, die. So they died. And then He brought them back to life again, and He judged them. Those people, as the Mufassirin said, they were a group of people from Bani Israel that Allah Ta'ala afflicted their place with a plague, and they tried to escape from the plague. So again, from the rahmah of Allah Azza wa Jalla is, our religion informed us about all of this. The Muslim knows everything that he needs to know about existed in the hayat of the dunya. Another issue I have to bring to your attention concerning the plague, ikhwati fillah, is, as we just mentioned from the hadith and from the ayat of the Quran, Allah created those plagues to kill the disbelievers, to destroy the disbelievers because of their kufr and their shirk and their fitna and fasad and their fisq. So now the question is, but what about the believers who die? Right now, in Liberia, Sierra Leone, right now, there's a state of emergency. Other West African countries, they lifted the state of emergency on some of them, and they kept the state of emergency on others, like the two that I've just mentioned. So there are people who are in Liberia who died, Muslims. There are people who are in other West African countries who died. But the hadith said that the plague was created to destroy the disbelievers. So is that a contradiction? La wallahi, it goes to show what we're talking about today, that the plague is a rahmah from Allah Azza wa Jal. So rahmah how? He says sallallahu alayhi wa sallam about the plague, that Allah Azza wa Jal yab'athahu fayusibu bihi man yasha'u min ibadihi wa ja'alahu rahmatan lil mu'minin. Allah sends the plague, and the plague hits whoever he wants it to hit, but he made the plague a rahmah for the believer. So the Muslim who dies as a result of the plague is a rahmah for him. A Muslim who becomes sick because of the plague or any sickness, it's a rahmah for him because it's a kafara. He said to his companions, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Men ta'udduna shahidan." Who do you people believe and understand is a shaheed, a martyr? Who do you believe is a shaheed? The companions gave the correct answer. They said, the one who fights in the cause of Allah and he is killed, he's the shaheed. If you ask the people today who don't have a minhaj, if you ask the people today who don't know about the rahmah of Islam, the rahmah of Allah, who do you think is a shaheed? He'll say, the one who blows up bus 279. The one who commits an atrocity that Islam is against because he has no minhaj. His religion is ashwa'i, it's whatever he wants it to be. Those companions gave the right answer. They said the shaheed is the one who fights fi sabilillah with ikhlas. He has ikhlas and he's doing it the right way, and then he is killed. The Prophet told them when they gave that right answer, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, idhin ash-shuhada laqalilun. If the shaheed is only the person who gets killed fighting fi sabilillah, then that means that the shuhada, the martyrs, they're only a few. It's not a lot. He said, ash-shuhada khamsatun. The martyrs in Islam are five different people. And he mentioned the very first one, al-mat'un. The person who died from a plague is a shaheed in al-Islam. Provided he's praying, provided he has the right aqidah, provided he's a Muslim. His name is Abdullah ibn Ahmed, but he's not praying. He doesn't believe in Allah. Hey, that individual he has a problem. He has a problem. But it goes to show again, from the rahmah of Allah Azza wa Jal, is that he made the plague a rahmah. Ajiba amru mu'min wa la yakunu dhalika illa li mu'min. The affair of the believer is ajib, is strange, it's amazing. And that's only for the believer. If something good hits him, he praises Allah, and that is good for him. And if something harmful hits him, whatever it is, if something harmful hits him, he is having sabr, and it's better for him. Either way, even with a plague. So as a Muslim, he has a relative that dies from the plague. His religion told him, Asa an takru shay'un wa huwa khayrun lakum. It may be that you hate something that's better for you. Just be patient. As I mentioned in the beginning, the introduction, the deen for the Muslim is his whole life. The non-Muslim, the most practicing non-Muslim, his deen is not his whole life. His deen, the practicing one, his deen is some things that he believes, some things that he does, some holidays, some ways that he feels. But the Muslim, his deen is his whole life. How he's sitting in his majlis is his deen. How he looks. His facial expressions is from the deen. He can't do this to people. His deen told him, don't do that. Ayahs of the Quran. Every aspect of his life, his deen said, do this or don't do that. Nothing was left out, as we mentioned. So, in the case of the believer, his life and his death, as the ayah said, قُلْ إِنَّ الصَّلَاةِ وَنُسُكِي وَمَحْيَايَ وَمَمَاتِ لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. My life and my death is for Allah. So as it relates to the rahmah of Allah from the Ebola virus, is the fact that if a Muslim is afflicted with it, then he, inshallah ta'ala, that is a rahmah for him. That is a rahmah for him. Not only that, we have to look at something that Allah commanded in the Quran, the believers, when it came to the issue of jihad. He said in the Quran, وَلَا تَهِنُوا فِي ابْتِغَاءِ الْقَوْمِ إِن تَكُونُوا تَأْلَمُونَ فَإِنَّهُمْ يَأْلَمُونَ كَمَا تَأْلَمُونَ وَتَرْجُونَ مِنَ اللَّهِ لَا يَرْجُونَ. He said, do not be faint-hearted. Don't become weak when it comes to going after and looking for the enemy. When you're fighting in Islam, you're looking for the enemy. Allah said, don't become faint-hearted and weak. Don't give up. Stay strong. Keep going after them. He said, because although you may be suffering, they're also suffering. Just as you're suffering. But you hope from Allah what they don't hope. You hope for the rahmah of Allah. You hope for the Jannah of Allah, the maghfirah of Allah. And our Muslim, he doesn't have that. You're hurting and they're hurting. But in your hurting, there is rahmah, there is ajr. And they're hurting, there's nothing. Nothing. So when the Muslim is afflicted, and this is the shahid and the point, then the individual has to understand that in actuality, in essence, it's from the rahmah of Allah Azza wa Jal. The other thing that we bring to your attention, Ikhwani, concerning this issue of the plague, whether it's Ebola, whether it's yellow fever, whether it is SARS, whether it is the bubonic plague, whether it is malaria, tuberculosis, all of these plagues can wipe out mankind. Just one person, that's all he has to do is sneeze right here. If he has some of these diseases, his lungs are going to collapse. If he has yellow fever, he has SARS, his immune system is going to break down simply because he drank from a glass of water that someone else drank from. We come and we eat together. That man gave him some disease. If Allah Azza wa Jal wanted to destroy Bani Adam, he would destroy all of them. And the ayat is clear. لَوْ يُؤَاخِذُ اللَّهُ النَّاسَ بِظُلْمِهِمْ مَا تَرَكَ عَلَيْهَا مِنْ دَابَّةٍ. If Allah was to take and make everybody responsible for what they did, everybody sitting here, Allah wouldn't leave a single person on the face of the earth. Not a single person on the face of the earth. That's from the rahmah of Allah. From the rahmah of Allah. Concerning the fiqh of Ebola and these issues like this, as it relates to the rahmah of Allah Azza wa Jal, is the issue of taking precautions. Taking precautions. You know, with this Ebola and these issues, Allah Azza wa Jal wants you to live. They asked the Prophet, who's the best person? Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, Man tala umruhu wa hasanu amalu. The person who lives a long time and he has good deeds. Islam, Allah wants you to live a long time. And He wants you to do good things. Let me rephrase that. The best person is the one who lives a long time and he does good deeds. The more good he does, the more people benefit. The creation, dawah, khair, whatever. The higher his place is in the Jannah. You got more opportunities to make istighfar. You got more opportunities to make salah, give zakat, fast. I think you get the picture. So Allah doesn't want a person to be reckless when it comes to his life. He has to take precautions. يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ بِكُمُ الْيُسْرِ. He wants to make things easy for you. And the ayah said, وَلَا تَقْتُلُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ بِكُمْ رَحِيمًا. Don't kill yourselves. Don't destroy yourselves, because Allah was ever merciful to you. The rahmah of Allah. So you have to take precautions. There was a tribe called Bani Thaqif. Bani Thaqif. They embraced Islam and they came to the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam and they wanted to give him the bay'ah, the pledge of allegiance. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam started shaking each man's hand. You're a Muslim, I give you the pledge. La ilaha illallah. Give you the pledge, give you the pledge, you the pledge, you the pledge. There was a man they told him about who had leprosy. Leprosy. It's called Al-Jadhum. He was Majdhum. He had leprosy. That's a terrible disease. That's a disease where you start to lose the meat on your body. You start to get deformed and your meat falls off. And it is highly contagious. Highly contagious. If someone walked in here with leprosy, La samahallah, the Nabi mentioned sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he told us, Firru min al-majdhum, firarukum min al-asad. Run away from the leper the way you run away from the lion. So that means if someone came up these stairs one way out and he was a leper and we saw that he was a leper, we're not going to go past him to go down the stairs. We're going to open up this window and we're going to say, yo, look, you got to go the other way or we're getting out of here. That's what the Prophet told you. Why? Because if you breathe his air, you're going to be in trouble. That man from Bani Thaqif, he came to give the bay'ah. When the Prophet saw him coming, the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who at that point, he knew his religion wasn't complete yet. He knew that. Allah mentioned to him in the Quran, Wallahu ya'asimuka minan nas. Allah is going to protect you from the people. The Yahud who scheme and connive and they want to kill you, they won't win. Quraysh, they can't get you. The Munafiqeen who want to harm you, they can't get you. Allah is going to protect you until this religion is complete. He knew on that day that his religion wasn't complete yet. He knew that. And yet he said to that man, Inna qad baya'naka farja. Hey, we gave you the bay'ah with our tongue. You don't have to come. Go back. Told that man, go back. That was the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam showing us a principle in Islam, principle in medicine actually, but it's also in our deen. And that principle is al-wiqayatu khayru min al-ilaj. Prevention is better than the cure. Prevention is better than the cure. Don't take a shower and immediately after taking a shower you come outside and you didn't dry off well and you're not dressed to deal with the cold. Because if you get a cold, you're going to have to take medicine, inshallah, and hopefully you will become well. So when that shifa, the medicine, there's khair, but it's better that you don't put yourself in that position in the first place. Prevention is better than the cure. He told those people from the Arabs, and I told you this is a medical principle, but it's also a principle in your deen. The Minhaj just said if he teaches you this. During his time, the people who used to have camels, he told the camel herders, sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam, la yuridu mumridun ala musihhin. The camel that is sick, he has worms in his nose, he's sick, he has a cold, a flu. Certain animals, they have diseases unto themselves, like the cat. The cat has an HIV that's peculiar to cats only. It doesn't go into human beings. It goes between them. The camel, they have a disease. He said, don't let the camel that is sick drink from the same water barrel, from the same watering hole as the camel that is not sick. Because the disease is going to hit that one, and then that one is going to go in the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and going to have a problem. So the prevention is better than the cure. The Muslim, he doesn't put his mind and expose his mind to teachings that are going to harm his aqidah. How many people do we know today, born Muslim, raised Muslims, they went on the internet and they are doubting their religion. They're doubting their religion. I know a person personally took the ayat of the Quran. وَاتَّبَعُوا مَا تَتْلُو الشَّيَاطِينُ عَلَى مُلْكِ سُلَيْمَانَ وَمَا كَفَرَ سُلَيْمَانُ وَلَكِنَ الشَّيَاطِينَ كَفَرُوا يُعَلِّمُونَ النَّاسَ السِّحْرَ وَمَا أُنزِلَ عَلَى الْمَلَكَيْنِ بِبَابِلْ هَارُوتَ وَمَارُوتَ. They said, how is it possible that two angels can teach magic? And the angels, لا يعصون الله ما أمرهم ويفعلون ما يؤمرون. They can't disobey Allah. There's a contradiction in this and that. And the person is doubting the Quran. And these are the only kinds of ayat and hadith that this person is busying himself with. He's not busying himself with the Quran that is basic and simple and fundamental. He's dealing with the numbers that are not the same and issues like that. On the verge of apostating from the religion. This guy over here, he says that I only take the Quran, I won't take the Sunnah. You go outside of Islam saying stuff like that. Some people, they go overboard. Going overboard in the jarh wa ta'deel has caused people to almost lose their minds. These issues, if the Muslim, as I mentioned at the beginning of this talk, the nominal basic Muslim, if that individual just knew the basis of his religion, that he has a minhaj, he'll know how to deal with all of these issues. So, Akhwani, to go to the last point because time is flying, we're talking about right now the rahmah of Allah in that the religion of Islam, it taught us. With this Ebola issue, we have a lot of information what to do and what not to do. Look what happened with the companions, radiyallahu anhum. It happened in the 17th year after the Hijrah, during the Khilaf of the Amir al-Mu'minin al-Faruq, Umar radiyallahu anhu wa ardahu. Umar left al-Medina to go to receive the keys of Bayt al-Maqdis in Palestine, Jerusalem. And on his way, he brought with him a number of the Muhajirin and a number of the Ansar. And they went to Bayt al-Maqdis. Before they arrived at Bayt al-Maqdis, news came to them. Ya Amir al-Mu'minin, there is a place that is between us and between Bayt al-Maqdis. It's called Amwas or Amawas. It's there right now. There's a plague in that place. Ya Amir al-Mu'minin, there's a plague. And you know this plague is killing the people. Umar radiyallahu anhu, he stopped. He said, where are the Muhajirin? I want to ask you a question. The Shura. So the Aqidah of the Muslim, the Aqidah of Al-Hadith, is that the best of this Ummah, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, and Ali, and then after them the 6 people who constitute the 10 Al-Mubashshareen bil-Jannah. They're the best of this Ummah. And then after them, the Muhajirin. For that reason, Abu Bakr said, where are the Muhajirin? What do you people think we should do? Should we go or should we not go? Half of them said, Ya Amir al-Mu'minin, we left Medina and we have a program. We have to go forth and deal with the program. What happens, happens. The other half said, La, Amir al-Mu'minin, you have brought the best of the companions with you. If we go and we get killed, we die from the plague, it's going to have an adverse effect on the Ummah. Umar radiallahu anhu said, okay, you people go over there. Where the Ansar? The Ansar came. He put the same question to him. What do you think? The Ansar said the same thing as the Muhajirin. Half of them said yes, half of them said no. At that point, Abdurrahman ibn Auf, one of the 10 people promised Jannah, he wasn't there when he asked the Muhajirin and when he asked the Ansar. But he came after. He heard the situation. He said, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, I heard a hadith about this issue. He said, what is it? He said, I heard that the Prophet says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, إِذَا سَمِعْتُمْ بِهِ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَأَنْتُمْ قَادِمُونَ عَلَيْهَا فَلَا تَدْخُلُوهَا وَإِن كُنْتُمْ فِيهَا فَلَا تَخْرُجُوا مِنْهَا. If you hear about a plague in a place and you're going there, you heard us in that place and you're not there, don't go in. But if it happens and it comes down and you're there, don't go out. Don't leave it. Umar said, okay, we're going that way. Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah, one of the 10 people promised Jannah, who died in the plague because he was already in Bayt al-Maqdis. He was already living there. He was there to meet Umar. He eventually died in that plague. Mu'adh ibn Jabal died in that plague. 25,000 people died in that plague. That's a lot of people for that time. 1,436 years ago, 25 people is a lot of people. He came. He said, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, are you running from the qadr of Allah? The qadr is going to hit you, whatever Allah wrote is going to happen. Umar said, radiyallahu anhu, if you had some camels, animals that you were grazing, and there was a mountain that was steep that had some grass on it, and there was a flat land with grass on it, which of the two would you choose? He said, I would choose this one because it's easily accessible. He said, okay, that's the qadr of Allah and that's the qadr of Allah. So what I'm doing is I'm running from the qadr of Allah to the qadr of Allah. Now in this issue, ikhwani, a lot of benefits. We don't really have time to break that athar and this famous, authentic incident down. But it goes to show the rahmah of Allah. It shows what we mentioned about before. Al-wiqayatu khayru min al-ilaj. Prevention is better than the cure. Don't go. Don't go. But it also shows something really important. And that is, how is it possible that Umar radiallahu anhu, he didn't know that hadith. No one from the Muhajirin knew that hadith. No one from the Ansar knew that hadith. One person knew that hadith. Abu Ubaidah, Abdurrahman ibn Auf. They call that hadith ahad. He was the only one who knew that hadith. And that hadith was dealing with aqidah. And it's dealing with the ahkam as well. You know, because we have these people who have been affected by the Mu'tazila, from the Muhajirun and other than them, who say we don't accept the hadith at ahad. And they come up with philosophical arguments. Okay, no problem. Umar radiallahu anhu, when he saw that Abdurrahman ibn Ubaidah is not a person who will lie on the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he's a fiqh narrator, he knows what he's talking about. He took that hadith and based on that, he took the army and he did certain things. So that goes to show, from the rahmah of Allah, ikhwani, it's our religion. Allah didn't make the taqleed al-a'ma your religion. You young people, don't be a muqallid. Don't be an individual who you feel you have to follow what other people are telling you, no matter who that sheikh is. Today, some people who claim the sunnah, they're like the mafia. They will get upset with you if you don't take their opinion, and they make people afraid to have your own opinion. I don't agree with what that sheikh said. La yulzimini kalamuhu. I don't have to agree with what he said. This is my brother. Your sheikh said that he's this. I don't agree. Nah, I don't agree just because I don't want to agree, but I know the man. And I know what your sheikh is saying is wrong. Whoever that sheikh is. Al-Albani bin Baz bin Uthaymin. I don't agree with what they said in this issue. I don't agree with what that sheikh said about politics, going into the elections. I don't hold that opinion. Why? You can't say I don't hold that opinion just because I don't want to hold the opinion. I don't hold that opinion because I'm not convinced by those proofs. I have a different proof. I take the other opinion. Allah Ta'ala didn't make our religion a religion where you have to follow someone's opinion other than what the Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And if the religion was like that, it's going to be fitna, fasad, it's going to be problems. It's going to be problems. He said about himself, وَلَوْ كَانَ فِيهِمَا آلِهَةٌ إِلَّا اللَّهِ لَفَسَدَتَا. If there was more than one God, more than one ilah, if there were multiple gods in the sky and in the heaven, if there were multiple ones, then the heavens and the earth is going to have fasad. But there's only one Allah to worship, to obey unconditionally, one book to listen and obey unconditionally, one Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, listen to unconditionally. But some people, they have made, whether they meant to or they didn't mean to, from the madahib people, from the jama'at, and from them, unfortunately, are some Salafi people. They have made others other than Allah Azza wa Jal, the people you have to listen to everything that this sheikh said. So from the rahmah of Allah Azza wa Jal is this issue of The religion has been made easy for us. Easy in terms of, it is not a religion that is difficult to comprehend. The basics of it is simple to comprehend. Last point that we want to make, Khwani, the last point. This is a really important point as well, because it goes to show Islam has touched all of the bases. And that is the issue of an authentic hadith. You would have seen it in Kitab al-Tawheed. This issue was dealt with in Kitab al-Tawheed because Kuffar of Quraysh used to misunderstand it. The Prophet, he says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, la adwa. La adwa. La adwa means there is no contagious disease. No disease can contaminate you. So someone who hears that hadith, and he only takes that hadith, he may be of the opinion, hey, I know that man has leprosy, but I'm going to invite him to my house, and I'm going to eat from the same plate with him, and because the Prophet said, la adwa. What about those other hadith when he said, run away from the leper, the way you run away from a lion? You have to take all of the ahadith, all of the ayat, all of the statements of the ulama. You have to take as much as possible to come to the correct conclusion. As much as possible. I was always of the opinion, based upon what I read, that the Salaf, they said, you should not name your child Yasin, Taha, Sad, Hamim, that this is something you shouldn't do. Ibn al-Qayyim in his book Tuhfatul al-Walud, how to, welcome the newborn child, he did a chapter about this, tough on the people, saying you shouldn't name your child Yasin because it's playing with the Quran. La tattakhidu ayatillahi huzwa. Don't take the ayat of Allah as game and play. I've always been of that opinion. I never knew there was another opinion. Looking up something I saw, Sheikh Ibn Baz, he mentioned, it's better not to take this name, but I believe you can take this name because there's nothing that prevents it. If I was asked that question in the past, and I still believe it, I would say you shouldn't take that name. I'm with the people who say you shouldn't take that name. Because we didn't find that with the companions, we didn't find that with the 3 generations. But we have some scholars who took another point of view. They said there's no clear dalil to make it impermissible. So therefore, once I know that, I know his position, both of them are plausible. The Quran said this, the Hadith said that. The more you know, the better you're going to be equipped to take an informed decision for or against. So this Hadith, la adwa, there's no contamination. The meaning of the Hadith is, Kuffar of Quraysh, they used to think that the disease had the ability to get inside of you on its own. La adwa means the disease doesn't have the ability. It can only get inside of you if Allah decreed it. And that's why right now, someone has the flu. Someone has this flu that goes around in the winter time. And he's sitting next to 2 people. One of them catches the flu from him, the other one doesn't catch the flu from him. Or no one catches the flu from him. In his house, he has 4 or 5 children. One of them has the virus. He's the only one vomiting. He's the only one who has diarrhea. Akramakumullah wa taharallah yamakum. No one else is afflicted. Because the flu itself doesn't have the ability. And the same thing, life and death. The bullet doesn't kill. The car accident didn't kill. It's Allah Azza wa Jal that gives life and death. There was a man from the companions. He came to the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, Ya Rasulullah, let me see your back where the sign of Nabuwah is. And let me see. He said, because I'm a doctor, I'm a tabib. I want to look at it and tell you what you can do about it. Because it was like a deformity. Not in a bad way, deformity, like handicap. But it wasn't, you look at someone, his back, it doesn't have any blemishes on it. The thing that the Nabi had in his back, it was not like a normal back. The thing that he had. The man said, let me see. I'm going to tell you, maybe you could put some herbs on it. It'll heal it. I'm a doctor. I'm a tabib. The Prophet told that man, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, bal Allahu huwa tabib. Innama anta rajulun rafiq. Tabibuha alladhi khalaqaha. He said, no. Allah is the tabib. Allah is the doctor. We don't say that Allah's name is a tabib and you call yourself Abdul Tabib. The hadith is saying one of the attributes of Allah. Allah is the doctor. You are a man who's a rafiq. You're a man who's gentle with the sick person. You're a man because of what you know, the doctor. You're a person, the nurse. You're a person who, because you're gentle, you're caring, and you'll help the sick, bidhnillah. But you're not the curer. He said the one who is the doctor of this is Allah, the one who created it. So that's the meaning of la adwa. No contamination means it can't come inside of you by itself. Habbata soda, zamzam water, true, pure honey, the doctor, none of that stuff helps you. None of that by itself. It's Allah Ta'ala's decree. It's His qadr. That's the meaning of the hadith. So all of these issues are connected with how Al-Islam has explained everything that we need to know about everything. It's just a responsibility of the Muslim. Try to learn as much as you can possibly learn about his deen. نكتفي بهذا القدر ونسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يوفقنا وإياكم لما يحب ويرضى. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.